This is the story of Prince Henry arrow removal after he got shot with an arrow in his face and the peculiar device used to remove it. In the year 1403, there was a brave and young prince named Henry. Henry was a part of the royal family in England, and he lived in a big, beautiful castle. But like many young princes of his time, Henry was not just sitting around in fancy clothes. No, he was a warrior too. He fought in battles to protect his kingdom. One day, while in the battle called the Battle of Shrewsbury, something surprising happened. On that fateful day, Prince Henry found himself right in the middle of a fierce fight. Imagine the loud clashing of swords, horses galloping everywhere, and knights shouting commands. During all this chaos, an arrow zoomed through the air like a bolt of lightning and hit Prince Henry right in the face. Oh dear. It was a terrifying moment, but Prince Henry was very strong and courageous. Even though he was hurt, he did not give up. Can you imagine being that brave? The arrow had gone deep into his cheek, and something needed to be done quickly to help him. And this is where our story takes an interesting turn. Back in those days, they didn't have the kind of hospitals we have now. No fancy doctors or medical machines. Instead, they had to rely on the skill and wisdom of the royal physicians, people who took care of kings and queens using the knowledge they had at the time. Prince Henry was taken to a special doctor named John Bradmore. Dr. Bradmore was one of the best doctors around of that time, and he was ready to take on this unique challenge. Just think about how important it was to save Prince Henry, who would one day become King Henry V. Dr. Bradmore knew he had to act fast but carefully. He had to figure out how to get that arrow out without causing more harm. And here's where the story gets really fascinating. Dr. Bradmore created a very peculiar device just for this purpose. It wasn't like anything you would find in a doctor's office today. He invented something called the Bradmore screw. It was a special tool that looked a bit like a corkscrew. Yes, the kind you use to open a bottle. This tool was made of metal and had gentle curved designs to help pull the arrow out safely. Sounds pretty clever, right? So how did Dr. Bradmore use this invention? First, he cleaned the prince's wound with a special kind of wine. People believed that wine could help keep things clean, a bit like how we use soap and water now. Then, with steady hands, Dr. Bradmore carefully inserted the Bradmore screw into the arrow. He twisted it slowly and gently, making sure not to hurt Prince Henry more. Everyone watched with bated breath as the mighty doctor worked his magic. Bit by bit, Dr. Bradmore eased the arrowhead out of the prince's face. Hooray! It was a success. Thanks to the Bradmore screw, the prince was safe from further harm. Henry had a scar to remind him of that day. But he survived. Isn't it amazing to think about how creative they had to be back then? This story of Prince Henry and the Bradmore screw is remembered because it shows how clever people can be in times of trouble. And it also teaches us about the power of courage and ingenuity. Prince Henry, who went through such a tough time, grew up to be a strong king, known for his leadership and bravery. Though next time you face something that seems scary or difficult, remember Prince Henry and the story of the arrow. Remember how he stayed brave and how Dr. Bradmore used his wits to solve a big problem. There's always a way to turn challenging times into victorious stories. And that, dear friends, is how a peculiar device saved a prince and became a charming tale from history that we can all learn from today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time, and we hope you enjoyed learning about the incredible story of Prince Henry and his arrow.